It were Mike who first said hello, I suppose. I did notice it when the name of the house changed. Do you know what? I can't remember what it were called before they arrived, but you couldn't miss the new one. It were like a marble slab with gold carved letters. Adonis and Aphrodite. I mean, what kind of name is that for a house? But it were apt. More for her, really. If she were a Greek goddess, he were more like a real Greek, one who sat around in a cafe all day not doing a great deal. It's not rude, is it, calling Greeks lazy? It's not racist, is it? Because they're not a race, they're a nation. God, it's a minefield, isn't it? An Adonis with a lover's paunch. I mean, she had a figure, but he just looked silly in that skin-tight gym wear. When we saw them on those segways going down the lane, they looked ridiculous. We reckon they must have won the lottery, because as soon as they moved in, they spent a fortune, a big Bentley and a Ferrari on the drive. The builders moved in straight away, and that went on for about a year. I heard it because I'm by myself at home during the day. Our son Paul finished university and got himself a job in Seattle. Software research. He's very good. He rings every Sunday night, and he came back last Easter. Anyhow, Adonis and Aphrodite. Mike said it sounded like a mixed lap dancing club. Funny thing was, though, no matter how much you wanted to hate them, when you actually met them, you couldn't. I'll keep calling them Adonis and Aphrodite, even though that isn't their real names. First up, they invited everyone on the lane to a barbecue. In 15 years of living round here, that's the first time I've met some of our neighbours. See, round here, they all hide behind the gates. I didn't even know what our neighbour 2 doors down looked like. Funny, isn't it? Seems to be the fashion these days, putting up these huge gates. Mike said they'd be putting up machine gun nests next. When we lived in a terrace, I spoke to all our neighbours. It were a middle-class neighbourhood too. Here I spoke to Andy, the postman, more than I spoke to any of our neighbours. Didn't worry Mike. He was at work. Or at the weekends he was in the garden or doing up the beast, as he called it. It were a Jaguar. An XJS. He bought it when we paid off the mortgage. Needed a fair bit of work doing to it. I didn't mind so much. I mean, it weren't like he were off playing golf. They were here, in the garage, in his boiler suit. In the evenings, he was always tired. Even after he'd had a shower, I could still smell that swore fever on his hands. It's a right turn off. So, yes, our love life were a bit in the doldrums. Then we went to the barbecue and they were lovely. She was stunning up close, even though she did wear a bit too much of that fake tan. I think they even had their own booth. We were the first to arrive. I told Mike to leave it 10 minutes, but he reckoned the sooner we got there, the sooner we could leave. Aphrodite called me into the kitchen. It was like a palace, huge with every conceivable device. They even had a barbecue indoor hot plate with volcanic coals and a big hood above it in the middle of the room. Turns out they hadn't won the lottery. He was an inventor. He'd invented this barrier thing for the army, and it was selling to every army in the world. Mike were dead impressed. Funny, ain't it? We all play the lottery, but we look down on people who win it. Anyhow, at the barbecue, I had a couple of glasses of spritzer and we had a whale of a time. Mike had a go on the Segway and he were peeing himself with laughter. There were other people there, other people from the lane, but I don't remember talking to them much. The Martins, who run a waste company locally, and the people from Skylarks, they were there. But I don't remember what we talked about. What I do remember is when we left. Adonis gripped my bottom as he kissed me goodbye. And Aphrodite, well, that's where it started. I was taking our glasses to the kitchen, and there she was. I explained to her that we were leaving. She took the glasses from me, and she put her arm around my waist. I've never been kissed by another woman before. Not like that, you know. It were exciting, and I know this sounds a bit Mills and Boone, but it were like a first kiss. She took my breath away. When we got back home, we didn't even get to the bedroom. Mike and I were all over each other like before we were married. He had seen Adonis pinching my bottom, and it sent him a bit doolally. Jealousy and passion all mixed together, he said. We did it twice that night. That's when it all started. Started to go wrong. I mean, me a swinger? It's ridiculous, isn't it? That's what they do in California, isn't it? Swinging in hot tubs and taking cocaine. That's for over there. Not here in Barnsley. I can see that now. I sometimes wonder if they put something in my drink. I still can't quite believe it. When they turned up the next day at our door, it weren't awkward, it were exciting. They picked us up in the Bentley and we went for lunch at a pub on the river. It was a pub with rooms. Nice ones too. That's when we all wound up in bed together. You'd have thought at our age it would have felt seedy or embarrassing. But the funny thing was, it felt really free and like everything my parents stood for was a load of nonsense. They'd worked hard all their lives and scrimped and saved and lived in this 1950s cell where they were terrified of spending money or having fun. When the pagan stuff started with them, that made sense too. There was a whole bunch of us now at Adonis and Aphrodite's house. Adonis would perform a little ceremony, and then we'd praise some Wiccan goddess or celebrate a day of the calendar. Then afterwards, we'd all hop into bed together. One couple was a bank manager and his wife. There was this hunky policeman and his girlfriend. Just loads of beautiful people. I didn't pay too much attention to the rites, as they called them. Not really. Not until the drawing down of the moon ceremony, where Mike and I were the stars of the show. Adonis was supposed to be inviting the deities to inhabit our bodies for the night. Adonis and Aphrodite explained that they'd had this ceremony done for them, and shortly afterwards they'd had this major sale that made them their first million. They said our rewards would come. Mike had once been a shy man. Maybe it was the swinging that did it. But he was completely prepared to be lashed to this tree in their garden without a stitch on. I thought it was just another excuse to take our clothes off before we all did it again. Not that night. It was July. Quite a warm evening, but not when you've got nothing on. And when it got dark, it were really parky. So Mike and I are standing there shivering. He's tied to that tree and I'm standing in front of him. Out they all come, in the black robes with the candles. Adonis had this crow in a cage, and he takes the crow out of the cage as he starts chanting. He then turns the bird upside down, and he has this knife, and he starts stabbing the bird, which is squawking and flapping. He then passes me the knife. All I saw was the blood dripping off it. When the police came to take me away, they didn't believe me. My solicitor said it wouldn't play well with the jury. They said the police found nothing. I said there were police there. My solicitor said I should drop my story. They reckon I stabbed him and carried him home from where I did it. I couldn't carry him. It's ridiculous. Poor Mike. Adonis and Aphrodite weren't in when the police called. Apparently, they'd been in their villa in Marbella on the night Mike died. The house was put up for sale a couple of months afterwards. Sold to a Russian. He changed the name. Again. Paul hasn't visited me yet. He still can't understand how his mum knifed his dad in a satanic ritual. Neither do I.